Hi, I'm Aubrey Simonson, and today I'll be talking about pockets, user-assigned menus based on physical buttons for virtual environments. The problem which Pockets aims to solve is how to interact with menus in virtual environments. If you've interacted with virtual environments before, you've likely encountered large, flat, 2D panels with text on them. These panels have to be enormous because the resolution in virtual environments is a little bit lower than that in reality, and so the text has to be huge in order for you to read it. If they're tethered to screen space, they can also cause very high occlusion. If they're tethered to world space, they can both cause very high occlusion and can be difficult to keep oriented towards a user who is moving through a virtual environment. Proprioceptive menus, or menus which are tethered to the body, are a potential solution to these problems. However, if you tether menus to more parts of the body than just the hands, you have to track more parts of the body than just the hands. Some applications tether 2D menus to just the hands, but these can be sort of unwieldy once they get above a certain size. What all of these aforementioned menu types have in common is that a creator defines their contents rather than a user themselves. Other authors have proposed the use of 3D tools with physically obvious affordances, or which are familiar from our experience of physical reality, as an alternative to more traditional menus. Pockets is a means of managing these 3D tools. Pockets is a simple set of physical buttons, and if a user pushes an unassigned button while holding an eligible object in their dominant hand, the object is stored in the pocket. If they push a button with an object assigned to it, the object is returned to their dominant hand. Pockets are designed to be as modular as possible. They can hold any object which is marked as allowed, which could be 3D tools or other objects which don't have an impact on the environment, which don't do anything. Pockets can be implemented using any set of buttons which can communicate that they have been pressed. This could include, for example, a standard keyboard. Our current implementation of Pockets consists of 6 buttons sewn into webbing and worn around the waist. This draws from the real-world metaphor of a tool belt in which someone might store tools. Pockets aren't visually represented in the virtual environment. Because pockets aren't visually represented, and because we always return stored objects to the dominant hand, we don't need to track or know the location of the tool belt. To test pockets in a more realistic setting, we implemented a set of 3D tools for simple 3D modeling. The first of these is a paintbrush generator, which generates paintbrushes. These brushes can be used both to change the color of paintable objects, as well as a pointer for interacting with the sliders on other 3D tools. So we can see here in this demo video on the right-hand side me using the system, and on the left-hand side me interacting with each of these 3D objects. This is one that generates spheres, which can all be painted by the paintbrushes. There's another which generates cubes. And we can see on the right-hand side the process of grabbing these objects, putting them away by tapping on a button while holding them in the right side. This allows me to sort of keep the space clearer. This is the 3-axis cube generator, which works like the standard cube generators, but you can control all 3 of the axes. And I think this really gets into the 3-dimensionality of this object. It has no front, and instead every angle sort of conveys information about that angle. And this one works in the same way as all of the others, in that when you remove the object from this sort of new object generation space, it automatically generates a new object. This is the process of just putting all of those away and grabbing out the blob generator. This generates blobs of color, whose colors could be selected by this 2D color picker. Excellent. And then the last of these 3D objects is a trash can, which can be used to throw away objects. It will not accidentally throw away any of the object generators. As far as we can tell from the literature, Pockets is the first implementation of physical buttons used as a user-assigned menu system in a virtual environment. In this first implementation, we are only using 6 buttons worn around the waist and which are not visually represented in the virtual environment. However, in the future, it would be interesting to explore variations on the number and placement of buttons, how large the buttons are, and if users can tell them apart without being able to see them using different textures, and the trade-off between visually representing pockets versus the occlusion that causes in the virtual environment. For more information about pockets, take a look at our paper, or feel free to contact me. My name is Aubrey Simonson. I'm a graduate student at the MIT Media Lab in the Fluid Interfaces group, and this is my email. Thanks so much for your time.